Hi guys, today I'll be talking on two topics: linking CSS and HTML file and text formatting as one topic, and the next topic will be CSS basics and syntax. Now, in the HTML document, we have three main ways of doing styling for CSS. We have the inline, the internal, and external. But in most cases in the real world, we'll always use external style sheet. So now, once you're using an external style sheet, if it is not linked to your HTML document, the styling that you are doing on that sheet will not take effect on the work that you're trying to do. So now, in order to make it to have effect on your HTML document, you have to link it. And it's very straightforward in doing it. You have to do it in the head element using a link. Now, you use the link tag. You have a relation, REL, which shows the relationship to the HTML document, which will be style sheet. And then you have href, which gives reference to where your style sheet is. Now, most often it will be in the same folder. So you have to give the name of your CSS file. Most often it's style.css. If it's in another folder, you have to specify it using the file path. What folder slash the folder and slash your file name. But most often it's within the same folder, so you don't have to worry about it. Just put the name of your CSS file in the href, and then you close the link tag, and that does it. Your CSS file will be linked to your HTML document, and any styling that you carry on in that CSS file will have effect on your HTML elements. Now, next, for text formatting. Text formatting has to do with the styling of the text. Now, in HTML, we have the H1 to H6, which are headings. H1 being the biggest and H6 being the smallest. So, and we have various form of text formatting. Like in CSS, you have the font size, the color. You have, even in HTML, you have italic, bold. So text formatting just generally refers to how your text will be displayed, whether using HTML or CSS, because you can do it in both. HTML has its own form of text formatting, and likewise CSS. So now we'll talk about CSS basics and syntax. For CSS, stands for cascading style sheet, and it is used to beautify your work. While HTML has the content, CSS is there to beautify the work. So now, when it comes to CSS, you have three main ways of doing it. You have the inline, which is done within a specific element that you have. You do the styling within the opening tag of that element. Then you have the internal, which is done in the head within an opening and closing style tag. And we have the external, which is done on a separate sheet with an extension of that CSS. It can be any name, but what is mostly used is style.css. But it can be any name.css. Now next we'll talk about the structure of the CSS, which is referred to as the CSS syntax. The syntax has what we call the selector, which means the element that will be selected to be styled, and the declaration block. The declaration block comes within curly braces, and it has the property followed by a colon, and then the value followed by a semicolon. That's the syntax that is used in CSS. Now, let's talk about when they say cascading. When they say cascading, the cascading in CSS means it is a set of rules that will consider how the style is applied. Now, it has to do with, first of all, the source. The source is, we have the inline, the internal, and external. Now, based on where the style is, if the style is inline, it will be applied over a style that is in the head, which is internal, or on an external style sheet. So that's how it goes. So it goes from the inline to the internal and then the external. Yeah. So now you have something they call specificity. Now in the specificity, they have inline is the most specific because you're dealing with the element directly. So it's the most specific. Followed by the selector, the ID selector is more specific than the class or the element selector. Now, coming down, we have class and pseudo classes are more specific than the element selectors. So these are various selectors that we have. We have the element, we have the class, and we have the ID. So based on this, when it's cascading, it checks the specificity, and the most specific being the one that is inline, which is the one that is in the starting tag of the particular element. So once that is not there, then it goes on to look for an element that is selected by ID. From there, it goes to element that is selected by class or pseudo class, and then the last specificity is the element ID, which can be P or whatever. Now, we have if multiple rules have the same specificity, the one that appears last will apply. So take for example, if you have an element of P, and then you have, okay, let's say you have 3 P elements, and you select P, but then in the first one you say maybe the color was blue, the second one you said the color was green, and the last one maybe you said orange. So being that those 3 styles that you took, all of them were selected were selected on basis of element, that means the last one, which is orange, will be applied because all of them have the same specificity. But now, developers can override the cascade specificity by using exclamation mark important. Any element that is marked with that, any rule that is marked with that, takes precedence over other rules.